Welcome back to The Manual, the podcast where we talk about the stuff most men's podcasts are too afraid to touch. Today's episode is going to be wild, raw, and real. Buckle up.
Hi, my name is Nick, and I'm a recovering nice guy. Joe, good to see you, baby.
Hello, Nick. It's nice of you to be here.
It is very nice of me to be here. I'm trying to push through the resistance and the fear, which is what we're going to be talking about today. So this is, if you're just joining us, middle of a series on the nice guy syndrome that many men we work with, that we believe is prevalent in a lot of guys. This tendency to be nice in the name of self-preservation. On paper, it can look good. It can look even virtuous on paper and even externally, but internally the man is being gripped by fear and a victim mentality, and oftentimes will lead to various addictions. So a lot of the guys we work with resonate with this, and so if this is you, welcome to the journey. If you know someone else that, hey, might struggle or might resonate with them, share this episode with them. So we've talked about the origin, where the nice guy came from. We talked about just taking ownership and responsibility of what we call the father of the masculine virtues, really taking ownership. And then last week we talked about honesty, speaking the truth, revealing the truth, just being honest about where you're at, being honest with your emotions, honest with your boundaries, talk about some enmeshment and getting free from that. So this week we want to talk about bravery, similar to courage. But ultimately, the principle is most guys don't lack insight. They don't really lack what they probably should be doing. What they lack is bravery, some courage. So what do we mean? What do we mean? Most guys, like I said, they already know. At least if this has been revealed to them that they struggle with being a nice guy, they know what needs to change. They know the conversation that might need to be had. They know the boundary that probably should be made. They know an action that they probably should be taking. But fear will grip them. Fear will paralyze them. Fear keeps them in the safe zone. So like I said, last week we talked about honesty, which is really revealing the truth, kind of revealing your truth, revealing where you're at, living in reality. But bravery lets you live it out. So Joe, this is rule one in any good podcast is defining your terms. When if honesty is telling the truth, what do we mean by bravery here?
Yeah, if honesty is telling the truth, bravery rather is acting on it, right? It's not fearlessness. It's not toughness. It's not emotional shutdown. One of my best buddies, who is a incredibly nice dude, very amicable man. He's not a nice guy. His capacity to do what's in line with his values and identity is remarkable. And at the end of his email address, when he and I worked together, he had a quote about courage. Right? And I don't know that I'll be able to repeat it verbatim, but it was something to the extent that courage isn't fearlessness. It's the ability to experience fear and to choose to move forward anyway.
That's right.
Right?
Yep.
So it's not fearlessness. It's not toughness. It's not this white-knuckling machismo or bravado. It's not emotional shutdown in order to perform. Bravery, especially for the nice guy, is actually emotional engagement. I feel off, or I feel out of it. I feel disengaged. I feel shut down. I feel avoidant. I feel numb. I feel afraid. Right? And
that's the honesty part.
That's right. And the willingness to be able to engage what's in front of you anyway.
Yeah.
Brave men feel fear when they walk into a room to give a big presentation, when they walk into a room to have a hard conversation, when they walk into a room that they know there are people there who cause them to react, to act differently than they would if those people weren't there. They just don't obey it, right?
That's so good.
They're not led or driven by the fear. They're not condemned to serve it as their master. They're able to, like we talked about last week and you just said, they're able to experience fear, to be able to identify that I am afraid, and to make the right next step that's in line with their identity and values anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nice guys let fear dictate tone, timing, silence, and retreat. And bravery reverses that pattern. Fear will always be present. The question is, who's in charge, right?
Yeah.
It's okay that the fear is there.
Mm-hmm.
A nice guy overcoming or coming into it, the state of an integrated man is not the dismissal or the removal of fear. The fear will be there, but you learn how to lead that part of you rather than allowing it as it has to lead you.
Yeah.
So the question is, where does fear currently make decisions for you? How big of a role does fear play in your life?
That's good. Yeah, I really appreciate what you said about they just don't obey it. And I love words. I love etymology, and it's not in front of me or the tip exactly like on my mind. But I know obedience has its roots. It might be obediare or some Latin word, but it means to listen to. To listen to. You said brave men feel fear, they just don't obey it. They don't listen to it. And fear has a language. And I know in Bob Schutz's book, either Be Healed or Be Transformed, I think Be Healed, one of the 7 deadly wounds is fear. And the lie or the sentence, I like that word sentence too, because it has like a legal kind of ramification to it. There's a legal system in like the emotional world and the spiritual world. There's a way things work. And the lie or the sentence that people live under when they're living under fear, they listen to fear, is, I will die. And we may have talked about this before, but that sounds pretty extreme. But the reality is your amygdala, right? We are body, soul, spirit, linked by the will and the intellect. And the amygdala, that's primarily responsible, and we've said this a lot, for keeping you safe, for protecting you, for picking up, surveying your environment, picking up fear and anxiety, served you really well, in the outback or, back in and walking on the Serengeti, as we've said. And the amygdala thinks, that's a threat, I'm going to die. The same fear, the same mechanisms at play out. Now I'm about to get on stage and I'm going to die. So the nice guy listens, yep, that's true. And I will play it safe. But bravery, we're chipping away at the nice guy. Was it Da Vinci or Michelangelo said, when basically he sees David in the marble and he chips away all that is not him. So what we're doing here in this series is we're chipping away. We're chipping away the false self. We're chipping away the nice guy so that we can discover the real you. So brave men feel fear. Nice guys do as well, but nice guys obey it. Brave men don't. So we want to talk a little bit more about the relationship, like a nice guy's relationship with fear. Here's the pattern. They experience fear. They have a moment of decision, but they hesitate. That hesitation leads to delay. And then we rationalize, and which leads to ultimately inaction or paralysis. So what do I mean? The common nice guy phrases might be, if they feel fear, like, I'm not sure yet, a little bit of hesitation or delay. I don't want to make things awkward. We might rationalize the self-protective, self-defense mechanism, start like rationalizing. I think we cover fear with prudence. Let's be prudent here. And interestingly enough, we misuse colloquially the word prudence. We're going to talk about this next week. Ultimately, prudence, the virtue of prudence is the ability to make decisions, decisiveness. We're going to be talking about that next week. Then they think, I'll just wait it out, or maybe I just need more clarity. But the real enemy is ultimately leads to inaction. The enemy is really kind of hesitation here. So hesitation gives fear room to grow. So as you guys look at your life, and it won't take long, probably just less than even a day, to pay attention to where are you experiencing fear? Where are you listening to fear? What are you currently hesitating? Where are you currently hesitating instead of moving towards? And this plays out all the time. So we want to give you guys a few different practices that you can lean into fear and run towards the fire, if you will, rather than away, or run towards the dragon. So Joe, how about you kick us off with one of the first of the three practices we have?
Yeah, the first practice is to choose the path of least resistance. Or not to choose the path of least resistance, rather. Allow me to butcher or go the opposite direction of the first path here. To choose the path of most resistance.
Yeah, the road less traveled.
Right? Fear points towards meaning. Comfort keeps the nice guy stuck. Discomfort grows the man.
I've heard that before. Pain is the path.
That's right. Pain is the path. Discomfort is your teacher. One of our core principles and axioms. For now, resistance is your compass, right? I mean, this is all over neuroscience and psychology, good neuroscience and psychology literature about the importance of pain and pleasure in the brain, right? Again, going back to what you said, Nick, of our brains are wired below the level of the conscious mind primarily for safety.
Yep.
And the nice guy learns to experience threat in many places where threat is perception, not reality, right? But I feel the threat, which drives the action. And so becomes crucially important for the nice guy to choose to engage difficult things, right? And especially in a world of comfort and pleasure where playing it safe is a realistic choice that we can all make. I can live a relatively productive life. I can get by, right? Alex Hormozy says, in a world where shelter and food are virtually guaranteed, you're financially free when you decide you are. It is more
That's
realistic than ever before in history for us to choose to play it safe, because safety is all but guaranteed.
Yeah.
At the lower levels of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, in the physical domain and the safety domain, right, we are safe, right? And so we can let go those higher domains of self-actualization and self-esteem and just learn to settle.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And in a world of comfort and pleasure, as Dr. Anna Lemke, who we've talked about before, so wisely asserts, that in a world that has run our dopamine system awry, choosing painful paths, intentionally choosing acute pain. We were just talking about sauna and cold plunge before we hopped on here that you did with your men's community last night in your basement. Things like that are incredibly important because they retrain the brain how to engage reality in a new way. They offer the opportunity to be able to see resistance as worthwhile and even to experience resistance as pleasurable, right? I mean, the neuroscience of pain and pleasure is really the neuroscience of delayed gratification.
Right.
If I choose the pleasurable or the least resistant path now, it's pleasurable in the moment, and then I live with selling myself out, the shame, the guilt, the self-hatred, all the things that grow inside of me long term. Right? Those are the things that become chronic. The way I view myself, how I view myself as incapable or weak or lacking resilience, right? But if I choose to engage the pain now, the reward comes later.
Yeah.
And the reward for the nice guy is the experience of, I did it. I did the thing I didn't want to do. I went through the fear and I didn't give in. I let it well.
Right.
And you start to build that identity and that value system of being one who is capable of engaging hard things that produce fear and keep moving forward.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, just a couple things of like why this is important for our work, or really any work with any addiction, ultimately. One thing I like what you said, is a threat is a perception, not reality, which is where it can kind of be cheesy, but I kind of like the acronym FEAR, false evidences appearing real. Like it's more of perception. There's very rarely where we have actual real life threats that it might be wise to run away from. Very rarely. Very rarely. So why is this important for us? So this resistance, these negative appraisals, this listening to fear, obeying fear, this avoidance, which ultimately leads to procrastination, leaves feelings of shame. And I just feel like crap. And then you know what? Let me just get a sip of pleasure. And eventually I'll just keep scrolling and I'll look at porn and masturbate and numb. But if we catch it early on, we run towards and choose the path of most resistance. Let fear and resistance be a compass. You can run towards the dragon. The next one is we want to shrink the gap, that liminal space between having a thought and acting on the thought, between knowing and doing. The longer the gap, the louder the fear gets. Ultimately, the principle is you don't need more insight, you need more movement. Mel Robbins made popular this, not the food 5-second rule, but the action 5-second rule. And the principle is pretty simple. That and it's, you know, the five. So we're gonna shrink that 5 seconds down to 3 seconds. We're gonna do a 3-2-1 rather than a 5-4-3-2-1. So if you haven't heard of this, the principle is basically if you have a thought, you're at a networking event, and you think I should go talk to that person, or you're at a young adult, God forbid, church event at a brewery, and it's awkward as crap. But you walk in and you own the space, right? But you have a thought, I should go talk to that girl, okay? You have a thought, okay? I know I should do that. Or you have a thought to do something. And if you don't do it within 5 seconds, the likelihood of you doing that thing decreases significantly. It's not impossible, but the resistance grows. What happens? You have a thought, I should do that. It's not a threat yet, but if you don't act on it, within 5 seconds, your brain thinks, that's a threat. Why isn't Nick acting? Why isn't he moving towards that? That must be dangerous. Then all the self-protective mechanisms come online and the resistance gets strong. So we want to do the 3-second rule. Say it, send it, set it, and then move. So I have a thought, and then what we want to encourage you guys to do is say 3, 2, 1, and then go. One of the places to even practice this every time is with your morning routine. Right when you get out of bed, I have a thought, I should get up. I'm not moving. Your brain says, this bed's nice and warm. You should stay here. We have these negative appraisals, and that kind of sets the tone. Silly examples throughout the day. Similar to the first principle you just gave, Joe, is just move towards the resistance. I don't know if you guys have ever had, Joe, if you've ever experienced this, but let's say I'm walking somewhere, even around the neighborhood, I'm like, I see somebody I know. I'm like, I don't want to talk to that person, or I don't even want to say hi. So I just go the other direction. I find myself, actually, Nick, what if you chose, it's a super trivial thing, what if you chose to walk towards them? Like, these are silly things, but these small actions make a big deal, and they make a difference. So choose the path of most resistance. Let fear be your compass, and then shrink that gap between having the thought of doing something and then doing it. And then the third one is to be a ready, fire, aim kind of guy. Act before you feel like you're ready to act. That ultimately, emotion certainly is meant to drive motion, but oftentimes emotion can be a response to motion. You don't feel like it, move, and then the feelings will come. Waiting to feel ready will keep guys stuck for decades, maybe forever. And Joe, I don't know if you remember this. I know it was a reel you sent to me a long time ago. I think the principle applies here. It was Jordan Peterson talking about a poor plan acted upon is significantly better than the perfect plan that you never start. And this is with regards to building a business, going after an adventure, doing anything. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I mean, you pretty much nailed the concept. Yeah. The concept or principle that just to echo it, that starting matters way more than analyzing.
Yeah.
Right. And for, again, it all goes back to the origin story, but for good reason. The childhood of the nice guy required analysis, threat analysis
Right.
for safety, right? And so as an adult now, threat analysis becomes chiefly important in that man's life in order to dictate future safety.
Yep.
And the reality, like we just said, it's not true. It's not true. There are no longer existential threats to your safety, to you getting your needs met. And oftentimes those same patterns of coping become the very things that prevent us from getting those needs met, right?
Yeah.
That inaction becomes, our own inaction becomes the thing that removes our capacity to have what we need, right? I mean, in a relationship, asking for what you need was something we've talked about frequently over the past several weeks. Because I think and I analyze, well, will they give it to me? What will be the cost? What will I have to do in return? What will that look like? All of a sudden, rumination, and now the emotion has grown to an 8, 9, or 10, and I'm deeply entrenched.
Yeah.
The thing I'd offer here is this is a little bit anxiety and overwhelm have played a big role in my life. I was utterly unaware of how anxious and overwhelm played a role in both my addictions and my coping patterns, but in my capacity to show up and be who I am in any environment. And for me, and I was just talking to a few guys yesterday about this, for me, the acting principle in my life to keep me moving is to take a deep breath or 3, to bring down the intensity of the emotion a little bit, to control the overwhelmed mind with my body, with the breath, and then to ask myself, what do I need to do next? What do I need to do next? Oh, I need to unload the dishwasher. Okay, I finished unloading the dishwasher. What do I need to do next? I need to load the dishwasher. Great. Okay, what do I need to do next? We talked about my chickens last week. I need to go out and refill their food. Okay, I'll go do that next. That pattern of thinking has disrupted for what was for many years for me patterns of avoidance where those minutes would turn to minutes consuming content on YouTube, on podcasts, on social media, distraction, trying to get myself back into a regulated state. Funny enough, the things that I would do to try to calm myself down would only increase the intensity of it because I was pleasure seeking, right? I'm looking for pleasure to solve my pain problem. And it seems counterintuitive to do something like unload the dishwasher to solve your pain problem, because unloading the dishwasher really isn't pleasurable. But funny enough, it is, in the sense that the productivity of it, the movement of it, like you said, orders my emotions to, okay, I can do more. I can do more. I can do more. I had that Tuesday and Wednesday of this week where I was asking myself frequently throughout the day, as I was feeling anxiety and overwhelm, okay, what do I need to do next? Not expecting the anxiety and overwhelm to dissipate or disappear like I'm negotiating with my emotion, right? But I'm noticing it, and then understanding that it's important for me, again, not to move frenetically or like again to try to outrun it by sort of this white knuckling behavior, but it was really a sort of a peaceful sense of, okay, what's the next responsibility? What's the next thing that I need to do? Those 2 days were very productive days. Several years ago, those 2 days would have been deep coping days that would have left me emotionally exhausted.
That's good.
Left me feeling deeply out of my depth and capacity, deeply ashamed, wasted, right? It would have left me looking back on those days would have been, well, that was a waste. Guess, now I have to get back up and try again, which, there's value in that. If you notice yourself not performing at your peak, to be able to have that mentality of, okay, one failure isn't representative of future outcome. I can keep going. I can try again. But that ability to come to that place of the recognition and the self-awareness, which is the first thing I had to develop, which is the important thing to catch, of I was unaware of anxiety and overwhelm in my life by and large. I just
Yeah.
experienced. I could tell you I spend way too much on my phone. I look at porn too much. I could list off the negative coping patterns, but I never could answer if you were to ask me, well, why are you doing that?
Right.
I didn't have that level of self-awareness to be able. So self-awareness, like we talked about last week with honesty, being able to tell the truth about my experience isn't simply listing off the end results, the solutions to the problems. It's problem identification and learning the productive things that you can develop to be able to do it. So that's what I would offer in this third piece of act before you feel ready is break that down. Act before you're ready really, again, and sort of encapsulates everything we're talking about, the ability to move while the emotion still remains.
Yep.
I'm not doing this to get anxiety to go away. I'm doing this because this is who I am.
Yeah.
I am a man who takes care of my family. I'm a man who serves my wife. I'm a man who takes care of the things of our home and work and pushes things forward. And fear, anxiety, overwhelm don't stop me from that. They don't remove that capacity from me. Yeah. And it's okay that they're here.
Right. Yeah. Bravery doesn't feel like bravery. Courage rarely feels like courage. What does it feel like? You were saying some of them. Feels like anxiety.
Yep.
Feels like tension in the chest. Feels like embarrassment sometimes. Feels like a fear of rejection, fear of disapproval.
Yep.
It feels like fear a lot of times, and allowing fear to be the compass. These feelings are not signs you're failing or you're weak, but they're signs that you're alive and you're listening, you're aware. And again, it's a distinction between white knuckling. White knuckling ignores these feelings. It's like just grind. What we're talking about is a willingness to feel, to name it, and to lean into it. And this is, and the nice guy identity with fear feels threatened. The nice guy, he's built up his armor. It's the false self. And courage, these actions we're inviting you guys to do, not by white knuckling, but by becoming aware, and leaning in, is what's chipping away, as we already said. And it's the integrated man, it's the real man that's underneath you, that is being strengthened underneath. And this is an embodied exercise. When we practice this bravery, things change. Your voice steadies.
Yep.
Boundaries sharpen, right? And we've talked about this before. That's why it's really important for people that are really close to you to know that you're trying to grow in this, because people can kind of be thrown off by what you're doing. Decisions, that liminal space between thought and action, those decisions sharpen. They speed up. And then not only you won't only feel it, but others will feel it. Some will like it. Some might not like it. Your wife will feel it. Your kids will feel the presence. The room, like you guys know, there's certain people that walk into a room. It's like, wow, I feel like something's different about this person's presence. You're not necessarily, and I think we can kind of, I don't know if this makes sense, but you can kind of fake confidence, and just like people can appear confident rather than integrated, or this kind of congruence. So it's not being louder or more demanding or harsher necessarily, like this macho jerk, as we're saying, but just grounded. It's like, oh, that man's really integrated with his thoughts and his actions. And that's ultimately what brings the kingdom, is the living out of that true self. And people notice it.
Right. And that's the difference between false confidence, right? The false self in the macho jerk's sense, and the courage of the integrated man. Mm-hmm. And I think everybody, I would go so far to say, is everybody can feel the difference.
Oh yeah.
Right. People know it when they see it, right? The macho jerk is someone who is there to pump themselves up at the expense of others, right? They don't ask questions about others. They don't see others. They're there for themselves.
Yep.
Right? But the integrated man who is operating in courage, in bravery, is there to offer the strength that he possesses, the capacity to move in the midst of negative emotion or difficult emotion as a gift to others. Right? And that comes back to him, right? As people then value him, because there's a strength there that is safe for other people to come under the shelter
Yeah.
right? To
Yep.
be protected by, to be safe with, to be able to share their stuff with, to be able to be carried by. And so I think that is relatively intuitive. The question, one of the questions here for reflection that I really love is, what feeling do you avoid most that might actually be a doorway? I think one of the most important things in these exercises that a man can do is learn to see the cues and triggers that normally drive coping or escaping as the signal to engage, right? To stop seeing it as a threat signal, but to just see it
Yeah.
as the flag of, when I wake up in the morning and I feel overwhelmed, that's my cue to move. Right? To your point, like what we
Yep.
said earlier is like, engage now, 3, 2, 1, go.
Yep.
That becomes way more important on the days that I wake up with more resistance than the days that I wake up with no resistance. Right?
Totally.
And for me, that's become very important. When I feel overwhelm, my day and the impact I have on the people around me is colored by whether or not I treat that cue, that experience, that trigger as one that drives me in the direction of avoidance and coping, or cues me to engage. Oh,
Yeah.
there it is. I know what to do with this, right?
Yep.
And I mean, we're solvers by nature, and I think that's why self-awareness is so crucial here. Is you have to deeply understand the problem in order to know what solution to effectively deploy to its end, right? That when I understand the problem of overwhelm and what it does to me when it's allowed to drive, and I know what I can deploy to it, that actually allows me to stay in the driver's seat rather than allow it to drive. The end result is almost a level of, funny enough, again, going back to my Tuesday, Wednesday example from this week, I was more productive than I would have been if the anxiety and overwhelm never showed up in the first place.
Yep.
I accomplished more. I was more resilient. I was more brave, certainly, because of the experience of the emotion beckoning to me to go
Right.
the other direction. But because it stayed with me, I kept moving. Oh, there it is again. Keep moving. What's the next thing? And again, the difference isn't, because I think we can hear move and we think like, again, that sort of exhaustive, sort of like, okay, how long can I keep the engine running? That's sort of that white knuckle mentality, right? Some of the things that I said to myself in that time is, what can I do next? What do I need to do next? I'm going to sit down and read.
Right.
I'm going to read for 20 minutes.
Yep.
Which is an act of giving to myself what I need. Take a break. Do something productive that fills you. It's not all just like accomplish, productivity. It's, okay, what do I need to do next? I need to rest. I need to go exercise. I need to go sit in the sauna.
Yeah.
Right? Right? And so it's as much those as the do the dishes, feed the chickens, feed the kids, etc. Handle these issues and problems, make this phone call, reach out to this person, right? And all of those things fit together. And when I'm operating in that lens, the self-care practices become as obvious and self-evident to me at the right time and in the right place as the get shit done things become, right?
Yep.
And so I think that's an important sort of point or interjection to make there is that the goal of the nice guy isn't to become a machine in the sense that it's, well, the answer to this is just ultimate productivity, go, 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 right? I was talking to a client yesterday afternoon before our all-team meeting, and he basically said, well, if I don't do this stuff in the morning, once my day starts, I forget his exact words, but basically like I'm on, and then I don't shut off until 10 p.m. and then I'm too exhausted to do anything else. And this is in the context of us talking about integrating his daily habits into his life and routine. So, well, if you can't carve out the ability to sit down for 10 minutes and reflect in the middle of that doing, you're forcing yourself into a level of productivity that isn't serving you, you're serving it, right? I have to do this in the sense that I'm forced to do it, that I'm a victim of the productivity, rather than I'm operating even in the midst of anxiety. And my
Yeah.
capacity to slow down and to be is as effective as the next right step as the ability to perform or to do. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
It does. Yeah, it really does. Yeah. I mean, ultimately, in a word, just regarding the anxiety piece, you were saying earlier, like anxiety, and we've said this before, really is meant to be a performance enhancing drug. As Kierkegaard says, the greater the anxiety, the greater the person. We actually need it. And when we reframe it, we welcome it, we move towards it. And
Yeah, it
well,
enlivens the senses, right?
yeah,
It
right.
makes me way more
Yep.
available to experience the
Yep.
things. I am attuned into reality
Yep.
in a way that I'm just not when I'm, say at rest,
Yep.
right? That I am engaged and leaning into rather than, most people don't go on stage, using the example you used earlier, with like, I'm chill. I'm vibing,
Yeah.
no, I'm not thinking about anything. No, they're like locked in. They're locked
Yeah.
in.
Yeah. Totally.
They feel that sense of adrenaline, but
Yep.
they've learned, the best speakers and performers have learned to use that
That's right.
sense of anxiety to engage it in order
Yep.
to show up to that, whatever
Yep.
that platform
Yep.
is,
Yeah.
and to move as a result.
Yeah. So all these tools and muscles we're talking about here today, and these mindsets, they're generic, and we've said this before, but they apply to all parts of your life. And with the nice guy, oftentimes he comes alive in relationships. So we want to give you guys a simple framework as we're coming to land this plane here. We have a framework, a tool in our program and the Craving Free system called Feel It, Name It, Welcome It. Similarly to that, here's the principle, here's the framework for bravery or for courage, for action. Feel it, name it, and then move. Feel the fear, okay? Feel it. Be honest. Name it honestly. Feel it, name it, and then move towards it. Run in towards the fire, towards the fear, particularly with relationships. The nice guy, if you're married or you got a girlfriend, he just comes alive. I'm afraid she'll be upset. We become afraid of the woman. Feel it, name it, and then lean into it. Lean into the thing that you want to avoid. Courage or bravery is really emotional honesty plus aligned action. So I want to encourage you guys, feel it. Feel the fear, name it, and then move towards it. This is the training that we're about of we've called it crucifying or killing or stripping away the nice guy, chipping away at him. And then just, this is how healing and integration happens. And it's not just this internal disposition, but it's practiced physically. It's, it's not one thing I try to grow in is that I'm done saying I'm sorry if I didn't do anything wrong. Maybe for you, it's standing, as Jordan Peterson says, a little taller with your shoulders back. As you walk into a room, stand a little taller, speak a little slower. Take a moment to pause before responding. This is so good. One of my clients yesterday was sharing, he's on a team, and this woman basically said something to him. Well, I won't say all the details, but it was not a good situation. And she did something, and then she kind of came at him, and he said, I need to pause right now. I'm feeling anger. And that's huge for him. For him to say that, I am angry right now. And she started talking. He's like, no. Give me a second. And if you knew this guy, you'd be like, whoa, he did that? He says, give me a second. And he says there was about 5 to 10 seconds of just silence. And he goes, I needed to pause. And then he leaned into it. That little bit of liminal space, or expanding that space, is huge for the nice guy. Maybe for you is holding eye contact. Looking at somebody a little bit longer than you're comfortable with. See, why is this? There's a book out there I was recently looking at called "The Body Teaches the Soul." Right? It goes both ways. The body is often is a sacramental reality. It's a manifestation of the internal, but also it goes the other way. As we said, motion creates emotion. The body teaches the nervous system. right? That you're safe, that actually you can conquer. So what would change if your body stopped apologizing for your presence? Joe, how about you bring us home? Maybe a challenge. We've thrown a lot of stuff out here to kind of break through the nice guy syndrome, especially fear by bravery.
Yeah, challenge and a reflection. Your challenge for this week is to do one brave thing today when you feel the emotion driving you in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Small, immediate, 3, 2, 1, aligned with your values, right? This isn't about bulldozing. This isn't about getting you to operate in a way that is outside of who you are in a negative sense, right? Do something stupid, right? Follow your emotions in that sort of way. No, it's what do I need to do next? What's the next right thing that I need to do and go, right? And for your own reflection, then, ask yourself these questions. Write them down. Journal about them. Physically write it out. Where am I hesitating? What truth have I named but not lived? What's one move I already know I need to make?
That's good. Come on, y'all. Every time we choose bravery, choose courage over comfort, as we choose the path of most resistance, the nice guy loses its grip, and there's always more freedom available. So I want to invite you guys, if this is resonating with you, share it with somebody. Maybe somebody close to you that you're like, hey, it'd be helpful for you to know that I struggle with this. Or somebody else, maybe it's your men's group or whoever it is. Share it with somebody else that might encourage them. Next week, we're going to be talking about decisiveness, making decisions. When this drops, we've got, I'll just say this, February 17th, Tuesday, the night before Ash Wednesday, we are starting our next 72-hour fast. So, Joe, can we throw that link in the show notes, in the description? We'll throw it in there. We've got about 100 guys in the chat. We're expecting more than that. So join us. It's an awesome time. A little bit of pain with the boys. And then also want to invite you guys to join our Freedom community. Anybody that does a Freedom group, you get lifetime free access to a Freedom community. So if you're interested in joining a Freedom group, we'd love to hop on a call with you, share a little bit more about it, hear about your story, see if that might make sense for you. And then the Freedom community is a free bonus for all those in a group. But if you're not ready for a group for that comprehensive, really hand-to-hand combat with you and comprehensive approach, we have a lower tier Freedom community. We got a bunch of guys in there. We've got online courses, quarterly calls with experts. In March, we've got Bob Schutz coming online to do a little interview and some Q&A with the guys. And we're always adding more stuff there. So appreciate you guys joining us for this journey through the nice guy. We're chipping away one step at a time. See you guys next week.